All right, so we're now recording, and let's talk about Dan for a second. Dan is the Senior Program Manager with Reston Association and has been in the field for over 20 years. He's worked in a variety of settings from resorts, homeowner associations, as well as nonprofit organizations. Dan is an instructor with the American Red Cross in adult, child, and infant CPR, AED, and first aid. He has served on the RCRA Board of Directors in the past and is a proud recipient of the Debbie Renown Award. So here's Dan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to show you some slides, definitely get some of your interactions as well. And certainly expect some feedback from you guys and some things that you guys have done in the past. I kind of had to laugh when they asked how long I've been working, in the business, and I realized it was a really long time. So, and it's funny today that, Scott Bushway's on the call and Sydney's on the call and worked at the Boathouse and the Queechee Club and worked at various places. So I'm happy to be back in with RCRA and got a homeowners association down here in Virginia on the DC area to join us. So without further ado, I'm going to share a screen. I think everybody can see that, can't you? Where is it? Here we go. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we're good. Oh, it went away.
Oops.
Now we see a beautiful beach desktop.
Yeah, nice screensaver.
Myrtle Beach. I'll go back into here again. Come on. Uh-oh. Come on. Where's my Zoom? Like I said, I'm using... Okay. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll switch spots here. Okay. So really what we're going to go over today is kind of three areas that we talked about with different family programming from the, mom and dad and the kids or variations of that, as well as the youth, school age, as I like to call it, as well as the 55 plus or the active older adults. The thing that I have found most intriguing in the past 6 months is what you have to think about when it comes to those three demographics. Here at Reston Association, we're a homeowners association of 21,000 homeowners. And we have about 66 to 68,000 total people that are using our facilities or live in the area. So we are, even though we're a homeowner association, we are also a full-blown almost town. So today I want to go over kind of the benefits of recreation in today's world. Also kind of the brainstorming 101 and what do we have to do with today's thoughts with COVID and all the rules that apply, and kind of go into the activity analysis from the planning to the adapting, or what now everybody calls the pivoting aspect of things. And then am I really going down the right path and how that looks? So everyone here, in the recreation business, with the philosophy of recreation, to me, the key components are people that engage during the free time, as well as the values that they're trying to use or do during that social part of their downtime, kind of that recreation and leisure. Recreation to me is the activity performed less important than the reason for performing. Again, it's the what can I do to distract myself from something, or what if I have free time, what do I like to do? So it's kind of that mindset that I feel is very important of the engaging part, as we as recreators know, how to do that. If somebody has free time, what do you want to use with that free time? And then that value of both from a cost standpoint, as well as the value of what it is that you want to get the person's coming to you. What do they want to get out of that? Is it something that they can share? Is it something that can get others to do? Can you do it more than once? All those types of things. To me, those are the key components of just the philosophy of recreation itself. Recreation and leisure. Recreation is the activity that one is doing in order to rejuvenate oneself physically and mentally. And then leisure is the free time, the state of mind and activity or inactivity. So I ask you guys a question. Why do you recreate? And you guys can shout out why people, or why do you like to recreate?
De-stress.
Okay.
I was gonna say to win, but that's probably not a good thing. I'm saying escape.
I would say A too. Have fun.
Okay.
I'd say for the memories.
And really, there's no wrong answer to that. It's everybody's individual, thought process. And that's what makes our job as recreators so hard, is because like for us in Reston, we have 66,000 people that we're trying to navigate towards, trying to find that happy medium that people are wanting to do to engage them in doing something. If you're in the resort world, it's 400 people or 1,000 people. If you're in a, HOA that's, like Queechee with Scott up there, it's, a few hundred people now, depending on the time of year. So it definitely is kind of different mindset depending on the number of people that you're looking at. To me, it's the escape, the enhancement, why is it somebody's wanting to recreate with you? Or what is the leisure component of it? Is it they want to just totally forget about what they're doing? Is it getting away from something? Is it just to learn about something? So those are the things that are kind of the key components. To me, the foundation of we as programmers use these kind of three areas, is brainstorming, activity analysis, and the adaptions. So we're going to go into the brainstorming first. This picture is one of our kids that we created a camp in a box this summer here at Reston. We canceled camps for the summer, and our program supervisor created 7 to 8 activities every 2 weeks. And we dropped them off in the local homes, and people were, paying anywhere between $25 and $45, per box. And the first 3 sessions of boxes, we sold between 70 and 90 boxes. So again, we adapted to that because what we realized as camp got canceled, the parents were finding, I don't have time to take care of my kids, a sense of I have to find something for them to do. So I don't have time to look online. I don't have time to go do things. But if we started giving that information to them and those tools, and they loved it. It worked so well that we then moved to doing it now once a month during the school year. Because again, the parents are also looking for that something on Saturday and Sunday that mom just wants to relax for a little bit. Let's do this. The activities we submit into that box, and it worked out great. But the thing to me is that brainstorming part is, and why I used also the camps in the box scenario, is that you're thinking inside the box and outside the box. So truly, what is it that you can adapt and adjust, and that for any age group? So for example, you're looking at the 55 plus. Now that we're going into the winter, what activities can you do virtually so they can still be active? What is it that they're doing during the summertime that they can get outside and go for walks and create clubs, for walking clubs and things like that. So to me, it's creating that one sentence description of when will take place, the age of the people attending for your activity, the space requirements that are now needed, the innovative activity that you want to implement. So though that create that one bullet sentence, almost like that your mission sentence, that will be determining what you want to do for that activity. And that will be for any, demographic. The activity analysis is, to me, also kind of 1A and 1 in the sense that the equipment required, just as we know, you make your list of things of, do I need this supply? What do I need for this? How many of these things do I need? So it definitely is one of those key factors. Descriptions, directions, rules, legalities. Nowadays with COVID, all these things now are applying that we have to figure out, what are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to do? So it's a key component for us to realize what do we need to do and how do we need to do it. The directions also kind of goes into your demographics of generational things, that your directions for a virtual program for 55 plus might be totally different than a group that you have a scavenger hunt going out for families with young kids that know in their sleep how to do virtual, online things. So just remember that as you're doing your programming analysis of who your demographics and what rules you need to put in place, and people understand those rules as you move forward. And then what is required to participate? Is it paying it? Is it, getting something for free? Is it online? Is it in person? So nowadays, because this whole new market of online virtual things has occurred, you just have to think, how does that fit in with my demographic that we're doing at our property or in our program? So I know here at Reston, we didn't have the technology to be able, and still don't have the technology to have a program at one of our spaces. We have no internet access unless we have our own Wi-Fi or a hotspot for us to do that at a particular place. But if we're working from home or working in our office, then that's a whole different story. So just again, adapt to that depending on what your needs or wants are. Questions so far?
Yeah, Dan, you were talking about your boxes, and if I remember correctly, you said about 75 boxes sold in that first week.
Yes.
Was that an average as you went through?
I would say the average now is about 45, typically. And again, I think it was that hot spot off the beginning because the parents were really itching for something that they didn't have to think about. So we also did reach out to our county agencies that helped with a lot of the underprivileged families that didn't have the resources for those things. So they also supplied some funds for that to happen, to be picked up for the schools and the kids and that kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. And have you done boxes for that 55 plus?
Yes. Yep. We actually started a program called the Activities in a Box 55 Plus edition. And it has worked out a little slower. And I think the problem for us is that we're marketing it with the parent for a child only doesn't care what's in the box. They just want the activities. The 55 plus, because they already have what they like to do in place and what they enjoy and not enjoy, we are marketing it just saying there's activities in the box, but we're not telling them what's in the box. So I think that's the hesitation that people are buying it right now, is that we're not marketing it correctly because we're not giving them, hey, it's a art piece, or we're working on art stuff. We're doing, a scavenger hunt this week, or we're making crocheting or learning how to do something. So we're not telling them that ahead of time, so they're hesitant in making that purchase.
Okay. And what's the average pricing for that?
Usually we try to go around $30 with about 7 activities, 7 to 8 activities, one being a virtual Zoom meeting. So for example, the 55 plus box that we're doing, they meet on, I think it's the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and do a virtual bingo. And then the first box they did a happy hour that they met, some people with. So it just varies depending on the month, trying to change it up a little bit.
That's awesome. I love that, Dan. Thanks.
Both our program supervisor and our community events manager, both are very good at that school aspect of curriculum and the activities, and finding some really cool things for them to do, and trying to find minimal supplies or even supplies that we already have to then use for the activities. So we kind of start backwards when it came to the activities in the box, because it was, what do we have? And then we'll find the activity that matches it, versus going out and spending an extra $200 on new stuff that we really don't need to, use. So it's worked out well that way too, as far as keeping the cost down.
Brilliant. That was well done with that.
And then the next slide is that adaption, in that adapting to our new environment that we have. Like looking at that picture, we can't be at the pool now like that. It's not going to happen in the next 6 months to a year. So for our camp program, or any children's programs, or even family events at your pools, it's, how do I space everybody out? How do we do those things? Can I make a program happen with X number of people coming in every hour, but then have it be a 3-hour event? And is that enough time to get everybody in? Does that upset other guests that may be coming that want to come use the pool? So, you know, depending on your facility, depending on your space, depends on what you can or can't do based on that adaptation of your facility, adapting of time, you know, all those things kind of come into play. Adjust how many people can attend. That 6 feet social distancing. We have one of our biggest pool space, deck space that we have. We put spray painted lines down and made basically a 10-foot. Our Virginia rules are 10 feet in between for pool use. So they put spray paint, they put 2 chairs per area. The lifeguards then, you know, disinfected everything in between each hour. So every hour they reserved space for people to come in. And then we did movie nights and then reserved 40 families to come in and spread everybody out. And then we made a grid, almost like a checkerboard with ropes and the lane lines in the pool. And each family was designated a square to use that square to then use noodles to then watch the movie in the pool. We couldn't bring in rafts because then people couldn't see over them, but we at least tried to have still a movie at the pool, but have, you know, that type of thing. So what can you adapt with your space to be able to make it work and still follow all the rules, and nobody's going to get us in trouble because we have had some pool patrons call the, you know, local government on us and try to, you know, say that we weren't following protocols and all those things. But that's going to happen. But we have all those things documented and all the things, you know, that we do, and it, you know, came to for naught, but it just is, you know, definitely going to happen. And like I said before too, we used to always adjust for weather. We used to adjust for parking. We used to adjust for the little things. And that's all we worried about when we came to adapting because of, you know, what might be coming down the road. Our adaptation world now is huge. It's a last minute thing. It's because somebody contracted COVID that worked with you, or that, you know, came in contact. All those things now come into play. So it's that true pivot rule of how do I adjust from this as we're getting closer and closer to the date, and how do we make that happen? So here's an example, or some examples. So that was our logo on the upper left of the activities in a box. It was just kind of puzzle pieces that they used. And I'll zoom in just a little bit. And they also, we've been very lucky with our delivering of camps in the box, that for our October one, it rained. So Catherine, our program coordinator, took garbage bags and put them around the cardboard so they wouldn't get ruined and ruin all the materials inside. And then we also, during that same month, bought little miniature pumpkins and had a pumpkin patch that they then came to our facility, and we spread out the pumpkins in the ground, and they came and picked out a pumpkin. So it still felt like they were doing, you know, kind of something fun and cool that the kids really enjoyed. And then the other thing with the bottom left is our stand-up platform, stand-up paddle, if you will, what we call our, that the lines are tied to the lane lines, and you have stand-up paddleboard, and we have yoga out on the pool water. And the last 3 years, we've averaged 3 to 4 people because it was outdoors this year. We were packed with 10, and we had a wait list of 3 to 4. So again, depending on what your activities are outside, through the roof. So it definitely adjusts, you know, depending on what your occupancies are and all those things of how to adjust with those things. And then the bottom 2 pictures are just some activities that they did with that camp in a box. So the things that I think your takeaways for today are kind of the requirements when it comes to participate. It's the physical part, it's the mental, it's the social interaction, it's that affective and emotional side of things. Today, more than ever, we are constantly dealing with stress. We're constantly dealing with, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So because of that, how do we get that recreation and that leisure piece for us to then help our community and help our guests and help the people that, why should they come to you? So I think that's the key component for you today, is that physical aspect of things. It's walking, driving, pathways, you know, is it ADA compliant to try to include everybody? health conditions, can they participate in things? The scavenger hunt is a perfect example of that. Many properties that you guys are working at, it's, is it flat? Is it terrain? Can you hit different places that you need by car? Do you need to have a golf cart or all those things? So again, all those things, what do you need for people to participate, and how can you get everybody to be included in those things? And then again, COVID questions, the fever, ask those questions. Have you, had a fever in the last 24 hours? Everywhere you guys go now, that's what they always ask you, right? Have you, had temperature past 24 hours? Do you know of anybody that's had, COVID? So it's just, kind of those things. Mental, unable to understand rules, need to adjust with ages. As I mentioned earlier, how does that fit in with things? The, stress of the world, the mental aspect is very key. Yoga has become much more popular. So again, a lot of those things that if you have the space to do, or can do an outdoor thing. So we got our yoga instructors to even do outside yoga in the morning now. It became very popular. So follow the process to get the answers. In that mental component of things, it's, what steps do we need to put in place, and then follow that process through the end, because you really won't know until you put all the ducks in a row to find out if it will work. Because again, one of our yoga instructors was able to provide a yoga class, but then when we started to say, can we move inside? She absolutely refused. She had a spouse that was had high risk with some being, subject to if he was contracted with COVID, and would not do it. So that then limited us of how many classes we could offer, and can we offer those types of things. So again, always work with your audience to know what you can and can't do, and how to document answers. To me, it's the apps, social media, explain how to use the 55 plus. So it's, how do you document things? So for a scavenger hunt, we just did one this past weekend on our Facebook page, but we have a wide variety of 55 plus that don't even have a Facebook account. So how do they still do a scavenger hunt? So do you put an app in place? All those types of things. Social interaction, can complete list by themselves, or do you need to have a team? Again, trying to incorporate everybody that lives by themselves but wants to go out and do something, or is it group team, or do they get bonus points for working with somebody else? All that kind of stuff. Able to work with others and get along. So that social interaction, nowadays there's totally, that anxiety is a sky high. So can you work with somebody else? And if you're walking outdoors with a scavenger hunt and you start to have 10 people meet at the same place, how many people does that include? Is that okay to do that? Can you put rules in place to not let them do that? So again, working and being able to adapt and adjust and be able to work with other families or other people that are okay with that, and not totally lose their mind because there's now 10 people in a small area versus it now being 6 feet in social distancing. And going back to the whole mask, thing as well. Taking team concepts into consideration. If you have that team, how does that work? Both from a company standpoint to now, again, yesterday, I went out for a walk at a local park, state park, absolutely packed. I mean, it looked like it was a rock concert. I mean, every parking lot in the 4-mile stretch that I saw, every parking space was filled. There was hundreds and hundreds of people out walking. So it was 75 degrees here and it was absolutely perfect. So what do you do in that situation? Can you still have an event? Where do you put those people? Wearing masks, all that kind of stuff comes into play. The effect in the emotional side. Is it okay to not have winners now? Is it okay to just participate and post pictures on Facebook? Or is it, what's the concept when it comes to the effectiveness of that event? And do you need to have a winner and a loser? Do you need to change the locations of the missions due to the closeness of those people, as I mentioned? Adjust questions based on the ages, that you don't want to have too many questions of 80s trivia if everybody is teenagers or 21-year-olds. So just know your audience when it comes to things like that. To me, this is the big key for the different age groups. Pathways to success. You have your questions that you want to ask yourself. Is the program timely? Is it good time to teach, or should you be at leisure? Is it something that you can teach and educate, or is it something that they just want to totally get outside and do something and get away from the everyday? And how does that happen? And then what is good for your community right now? Is there things going on from that political side of things? Is it from a COVID and there's high risk of things going on, but you can still do something, safely? Is it that the kids have all been virtual, teaching school or being home at school? The parents are stressed out because the kids are home. The parents are stressed out because work is now being, talking about cutbacks and whatever else. So what can you do to relieve that stress? And what are they craving? What do they want to do? They just want to be outside. Do they want to be together? Do they just want to just relax and do nothing and listen to music? So what can you do during this time frame now to adjust to what people might be looking for to recreate or have that leisure time that that you're so craving for right now? And then the other question is the state, COVID rules, CDC guidelines, the rules and how do those apply? I put the dollar signs up next to each of these areas. The youth, the parents will spend way more money on some child doing an activity than they will on themselves or on their family. Why? Because they want their child to be happy. So therefore it's okay with that. The family itself, mediocre to more saving, doing that. But then the activity 55 plus, they have extra, income, but maybe they don't want to spend it because they're worried about, the price of things going up, their stock market crashing. So they're not willing to spend that extra money. So they may want to stay more closer to home and not do as many things. So how does that work? And can you create that activity that might be a free virtual thing for 2 weeks, but then throw in a paid program somewhere that is more interacting that they may want to spend some money on? So that activity 50 or that activity for the 55 plus totally varies on your demographic of the ages, because a 55-year-old that qualifies now as a senior, if you will, active older adult, and a 75 or 95-year-old, two totally different incomes, two totally different abilities to do things. So how do you adjust that? And do you split it into two separate activities, or do you combine them into one, depending on what those activities are? The youth, they want to do more action. They want to be on the go. They want to do more fitness things. They want to just be running because they don't want to be in front of a screen anymore. The parents don't want them sitting in front of a screen anymore. So how do you do that? So the interacting, cooking, fishing, nature, hiking, gaming, just something that they have interest in that they will want to do. The family, they participate because their particular interests. Joey and Sally's, kids are knowing each other. So let's do the two families together and go to the movies. And then I'll take them this time, you take them the next time, type of thing. So the same interest with the families will then get them to interact more. And that could be from a learning activity, could be from the gardening or doing something to give back to the community, even volunteer in some form or fashion. And then the active older adult, they want to focus maybe doing trips, theater, the experience itself. That's what they want to engage with or try to accomplish. Assistance with technology, potentially. But maybe they can do some drawing via virtually and things like that, depending on the scope of the instructor in the activity that you're doing. COVID rules apply throughout. So again, each one's different. You have your COVID rules of childcare ratios might be lower than it would be for the adult or family. So I know in Virginia that those rules apply as well, with ratios being on a smaller scale. So all that stuff applies. A lot of information I just threw at you. Questions? And I lost my screen here, so bear with me.
Would you say you did those camp boxes for profit or to break even? How did you kind of choose pricing on that?
Currently, we are still making a profit for Camps in a Box because we are still using supplies that we had. And I would say that we also purchased smaller size boxes instead of the bigger box that you get. That size of box is a 6x6x8, I believe it is, or 8x8x6. It's almost a true square, cube. And that's around 70 some cents a box. So again, depending on what your goals are, what your budgets are, it's not a huge profit margin, but we are able to make money off of that.
Hey, Dan, you had mentioned winner, loser, that kind of thing. Are you finding that they're really wanting more where there's a winner in it?
No,
it's not.
it
So you're really
truly
finding
is.
it's more.
It's more the experience. It's
Okay.
totally like the scavenger hunt yesterday that we did. We had 35 teams pay $5 to participate. Last time we did it in July, we had 110. So I think the price obviously deterred them, but those 35 families absolutely loved it and did not deter one iota in the sense of we weren't awarding a winner. It was more of just going out for the experience in accomplishing something with the family or with friends. Absolutely.
Great. Okay.
And then Dan, quick question. You may have said this early on. When the families want like camp in a box or even the adult portion, did they order online or did they call in? And then did they just pick it up from the facility itself?
All the above. We actually have it online for them to purchase through our web portal, but they can call us if they don't have an account set up in our system or they just want to call and make a purchase. And we also set it up that where we will deliver within the Reston boundary to their door. But if they are living outside of Reston, depending on how far away they are and where us as employees live, we sometimes will come in, grab the box and take it to their house. So depending on how far away everybody lives and where they're located, we also then say that it's subject to pay additional postage depending on where you want to mail it to. So we had one member that bought a box for their grandkids out in California. Well, that was 2 to 3 day priority. It was a $18 purchase for shipping that box out. So that's always an additional fee on top of that. So, but we do all the above where some of the members or community, not residents, I should say, nearby, will just stop by our member services and pick it up during the day as well. So there are multiple options. The biggest thing for me, I think, is that what is old is new again. And that the drive-in movies are huge again. We are looking at working with a Fun Flicks, which is a movie rental company, to rent out a 40-foot screen and bring into one of our parks next summer and do that. We have local agencies that have now drive-ins every single weekend throughout the area. So the scavenger hunts, we couldn't have paid anybody. We couldn't have paid somebody to come do these scavenger hunts a year ago, but now they're itching for them. And they would love to do more of them, they said. So it's the simpler things, but it's, again, getting them out, getting them active. We've created clubs that are now people just meeting and willing to recreate on a walking in the mornings on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and doing simple things like that. We've started a gardening club because Reston has garden plots. So we're actually doing a garden thing where we're teaching them how to garden, but then they're actually also doing a community garden themselves, that they rent out a garden plot and starting doing things. And that has now a wait list of about 100 people because it's just huge right now because they want to be outside. So all those things that are now outdoors has become huge. Fitness classes, all that stuff. And so again, I think the farther south you go, we were kind of lucky in the Virginia area that we still are pretty temperate and warm throughout the year, except for January, February, that where we can do outdoor programming for quite a while versus you guys that are up north, you're limited on that outdoor space.
And Dan, how are you managing the orders and making sure you're not missing anything? Is there one software system you're using?
Good old Excel spreadsheet. We have our reporting system that does the purchase tracking, but then we download that address and convert it into a Excel spreadsheet or a CSV document, and then we just navigate that off of that with the address, because we do ask them in the questions when they purchase it that please confirm your address. and you want it then mailed, dropped off, or picked up, and then they answer that question for us, and then we just follow up in that spreadsheet as we move closer to the date.
Cool. Thanks.
And we just pick a date to mail it, and then the parent typically will let us know that, oh, they're going to be out of town that day because they forgot that they hadn't, were going to be not in town. So they'll email, Catherine and say, hey, can you hold the box or leave it at member services? I'll come pick it up. So depending on that delivery date and the mail date, depends on kind of the situation with each of the purchases. We also opened up all the boxes to be sold from now through March. So even now we have a 3-month kind of lead time that we now even have parents buying the box. We have no idea what's going to be in the box, but we're just putting it online and people are buying it.
I work at a resort, timeshare resort, and we did something similar to that where we made up backpacks and put the supplies in there for the crafts or the activities that we thought that the kids could do, and all the directions and everything. And because we had no idea if, they were going to have to quarantine once they got to the resort, or what all that was going to look like. So it worked out pretty good.
And I think that's the key, is that, again, you guys know your space, your clientele. You don't want to create something that, if, picking on Scott Bushwick, I know Queechee, you're not going to create a program that's going to be, let's go run around town and try to find every, mall, because you don't have a mall around you. You don't have shopping around you. So use the nature that's around you. So know your demographics of what you have and what you're good at in your area. I think that will then attract more people to your neck of the woods of wanting to do those things. Ours is nature and just that sense of community, so you can do more things. You can, at Queechee, it's all about the community, and it's about getting together and driving around golf carts and being outside in nature. So it just depends on where you're at. Sydney's all about the beach and those things. So, it totally know your demographics, know your audience. You're not going to go to Mohonk and say, let's go skydiving. No, because you have open space, but it's not, that's not why people are wanting to come to your facility. If you're going to Charlottesville, Virginia, you're all about the history of the US and knowing the background and going on tours and haunted tours and all those types of things in Charlottesville. I'm not going to try to compete with that by doing something up here, because that's their known thing of Civil War reenactments and all that kind of stuff. So to me, it's know your audience and who's coming to you and why they want to come to you and what do they want to do out of it. And especially now because of COVID, find out what it is that 10 minutes of recreation leisure that they may be gunning for. What is that goal that they want to achieve? And it may be by doing surveys, or it may be by, as people are booking into your properties, finding that out of what is it that I can do, or talk to your, general manager or your marketing people and find out what are some hot things that people are doing. Because the cool thing about recreation, we all share ideas. So it's okay if somebody out west is doing something and you on the East Coast can still do the same blooming thing, and nobody's going to be upset about it. We like sharing ideas with each other. It's okay to do that. So I think that's the key component too, is we did a scavenger hunt, or actually take that back. We did a egg hunt in October for Halloween. And we did a at-home egg hunt. The parents could either say, I want the bag or the eggs dropped off at my door, 24 eggs, or we would then go to their house and hide the plastic eggs. I found a company that paid $138 for 1,000 eggs with one piece of plastic inside each egg. I sold 24 eggs for $20, and I sold 55 of them.
Wow.
I made $1,100 on this on for 2 weeks of deliveries. We did it on Saturday, the 24th of October, and Saturday, October 31st. And of those 55, 30 of them we went and hid the eggs, and the parents absolutely loved it because, again, they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to. And it was fun for them because they then helped the kids find them because they didn't know where they were either. So again, and that came from a Parks and Rec agency out in Illinois that did that event that I saw on Facebook, and I emailed them and said, hey, do you mind if I borrow it? They said, absolutely. And I tried it and it worked. So that's why I'm saying the key thing right now with COVID is don't scratch your heads by banging your head against the wall, trying to come up with something new. Look online. That's what they're called each other up. Find out what people are doing, because it is working. That it's the simple little things like that the little things each time is now becoming bigger, bigger, and bigger.
You know, you mentioned everything old is new again. That's another very, very popular thing, is to go back. There are so many kids and adults that don't know simple things like Foursquare, or Kick the Can, or Spud, or any of those games that they can do as a family, and could very well be activities that you add into your boxes, but they're so simple, but people don't know them. They haven't seen them. The kids haven't played them. Their parents haven't played them. We did it in the neighborhood, and people are like, what? Foursquare? What's that? I'm like, how can you not know what this is?
Absolutely.
In one of our backpacks, we had jacks.
Yes.
And the kids were like, what are these? Yep. Had to show them how to play jacks.
Dan, did you ever do your cooking session?
We did. We actually just did it this past Saturday. We had it was Young Chefs Cooking is what we called it. And we had 12 kids. We ended up doing it outside because it was actually a nice day. I think that was part of the reservation from parents, was being indoors, but we ended up doing it outside. The team found individual activities or equipment that they could do themselves with, plastic paper bowls and all the kind of different things to mix. They put everything in Ziploc bags ahead of time, and then each kid kind of had their own kit and their own equipment to then put the items together. So they didn't have to share anything. And I wish there was more, but it was a good start. And I think that will can become bigger depending on what the outcome of that and the word of mouth gets. We didn't market it all that much, but I think right now, because people are at home, I think it's so easy to get people to throw out a quick thing on Facebook or throw out marketing things. And, it can be a semi last minute thing, but it can become a very popular thing at the same time. The movies are huge right now. Whether it be your pool, parking, parks, drive-ins. We had one that the county put on. They had a wait list of 250 people, and they had 250 people at the park because that is Virginia's max capacity for an outdoor event. So they're just itching like crazy to do something outside. So again, depending on your audience, have musicians be playing because they'd rather just sit maybe in a recliner and just chill and drink and relax. So how does that look and things like that? So each area has its own way to, you guys have your own unique way to capture that experience. Any other shared ideas that you guys have done?
Well, I was going to say, and for those of you who are looking for those outdoor movies, you can talk to Annie more about this, but she mentioned a few months ago that they use Fetch Audio, I think it is, the app is. And so their cars can have their own audio system movie.
Has anybody tried any other virtual / in-person things that were successful that you guys would like to share?
Something we haven't done yet, but something that we're getting ready to do as far as an alternate version of a bonfire and s'mores event. The way we would do it before COVID is just have a couple bonfire pits and then sell s'mores packets in Ziploc bags for $5. That would make 4 s'mores. But now we're doing it by picnic tables and spreading the picnic tables out anywhere from 6 to 8 feet apart. We're going to have live music there on an outdoor stage that's by a covered pavilion, but rather than just a fire pit, we actually have these little ceramic pieces that kind of look like a little mini bonfire, but what's actually inside of it is a serve-safe sterno. Ethyl alcohol is safe to be cooked for by food, so we're having these little decorative pieces that have a sterno inside of them. And they're able to actually have them on the picnic tables and spread them out that way. So that's going to be our twist on the Bonfires and S'mores event for this year, if anyone wants to take that. The little ceramic pieces on Amazon, it's like a s'mores kit. I think it was about $50 per kit. And so we're just dividing it up into certain time slots, and we have a total of 18 picnic tables. So we have a band or a duo that's hired for 2 hours. We're going to do 30-minute time slots with 15-minute time slots in between, just to clean out the tables, sanitize, do everything else we need to do. But if anyone wants to steal that idea, the s'mores kit is on Amazon, and we ended up getting extra sternos and just getting all the materials to sell s'mores packets as usual.
That's great.
I just put two quickly in the chat. I know we're like about to get out of this breakout room, but we have some properties doing something called Pie It Forward, which is a fun little twist on Pay It Forward. So we worked with local bakeries, we got discount pies, and then homeowners can purchase pies for their neighbors. And the other one was just like a bunch of contests in the neighborhood. So it could be porch decorating contest or pumpkin decorating contest, you know, all that kind of fun stuff, just to get engagement for any level and ability.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you guys, I love programming. I love, Lisa knows me for years now that I am always itching for coming up with stuff. So the crazier, the better. It's a passion of mine and I love it. So COVID definitely has wreaked havoc on us, but I think we definitely are being creative and coming up with some really cool things. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Dan. And thank you for everyone for coming and participating. Just a reminder, you'll be able to see this on our website once it's done.
Excellent job, Dan.
Great job, Dan.